Okay, it looks like it is starting the recording and transcription. So we should be good now.
Perfection. Thank you, Miss Allison. Don't you guys love technology? So thank you for being patient with us, y'all. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So give me here just a second to get you guys everything that we might need. Perfect. Okay, good news. Well, I'm going to pop my camera on really quick. Hello, everybody. I'm Melanie. I'm the voice that you have gotten to hear through the term in your IDS 105 Learning Community webinars and the focus videos. I just wanted to pop my camera on real quick here in the beginning, and I'll turn it on again later too, and say hello. And thank you just for being here and for investing in you. I sure hope you're having a great term. If you're not having a wonderful term, I sure hope you know the resources you can connect to for your success. And just know that we're so excited to have you. And these next few weeks are going to go so quickly. So let's get started. All right, first and foremost, your experience here at Southern New Hampshire University is important to us. It is our policy and practice to create an inclusive and accessible learning environment. If there are aspects of instruction or course design that present barriers to accessibility, please notify the Online Accessibility Center, the OAC, as soon as possible at 866-305-9430. You can also email them at the OAC@snhu.edu or visit the Online Accessibility Center website. Folks, if you all don't know about this department yet, this team helps you as a student get accessible content in a way that works best for you. If you have questions about this, you're not sure about it, or you want to see if maybe that you might be a candidate to work with them, please reach out to them because they are incredible to work with. Couple webinar reminders. You don't need a microphone or a camera tonight. You just need to be able to hear me or see the screen. If you have questions, please pop them in the chat. Between Allison and myself, we have a special guest from the academic support team, by the way, who's incredible. But between Allison and myself, we'll make sure that we get all your questions answered. You guys have been here for 6 weeks now. You know that most of the sessions are on demand, and tonight we get to be live, which is my absolute favorite. So I hope that you guys are interactive. Make sure you've said hello. Let us know how your week is going, your major, where you're from, if you haven't done that yet, because that's one of the best parts about this webinar. This is an academic space, so always be mindful of your conduct. And these webinars are not mandatory. There's no grades associated with them. There's no extra credit points. But I sure hope that you guys have found them helpful so far through your term, that they've guided you through some of the assignments successfully, and hopefully they've made you smile a little bit too, because that's part of this journey, right? So real quick, before we get into getting to know our fabulous academic support team and talking about that final project, that guidebook, I wanted to just touch briefly on your week 6 assignment. So this week for week 6, we have a journal and a journal assignment and a discussion assignment. Some reminders. You want to make sure that you have that Microsoft Word or PDF or something compatible for your journal assignment, okay? So you guys know that video note assignments can be used for this week's assignments, which is exciting because for your project drafts and your final project, you cannot use video note assignments. But for this week, you'll be able to utilize them. If you haven't tried it and you want to try it, I encourage you to do so. Just remember to have some kind of a transcript or something written down so that in case somebody asks you about it, you can always show that the work was your own, okay? As a reminder, you get Office 365 for free as an SNHU student, which has like Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, Excel. Did anybody get that from the university? Did anybody download that using the university services? I always like to know if students find that easy to access, that they were able to get it okay. They love that it was free. Okay, you guys are like, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Okay, that's awesome. As a reminder for your initial discussion post, due on Thursday. What's today? Thursday. So if you don't have it done yet, make sure you get it done by tonight. And then those peer responses due by Sunday. Of course, you can do them earlier as convenient for your schedule. And then remember that your not project draft, your journal is due by Sunday. So just remember those deadlines as we come into these last couple of weeks, because these next few weeks are going to go pretty quickly. And as we get busy and start thinking about ending this term and starting another term, we can get a little bit overwhelmed. So just make sure that you remember your due dates and your deadlines, okay? This week's discussion assignment is going to focus in on empathy. So this is going to be a topic that'll be introduced this term, but we have talked about listening previously in IDS 105, right? Like remember back when we talked about communication and the power that listening has along with communication? So for this week in the week 6 discussion assignment, you're going to be thinking about how you listen to others. Like, do you listen to others with empathy? Could you? And then what about you? Do you feel heard? Do you feel that people listen to you with empathy? So, two really powerful questions to consider. And remember, you can draw upon your own personal experiences here as you answer the discussion and also tie into what you've been reading and covering from week to week. As you guys have worked through these discussion assignments in IDS 105, what have you thought about the discussion boards? Have you enjoyed them? Have you learned a lot about yourself? Have you learned about others? Has it made you kind of think about those in your life, or maybe those that you don't know? Maybe that you have some stuff to learn still, or gosh, I need to be a little more open about that, or I didn't realize this and now I understand. I always love to know with these discussions because for so many of us, these are new experiences, new terminology, maybe some things that we're uncomfortable with or don't know much about. And so we're kind of putting ourselves outside our comfort zone a little bit. So I always like to know how you guys have done with these discussions and what you think about them. And it sounds like they're really pretty positive and you've learned a lot about yourself this term. I know that's what I've had a couple students tell me over the last couple of weeks is like, wow, like I have learned a ton about myself and my own interactions and my own background, and bringing it into the classroom space has been really inspiring and helping them outside the classroom too, which I love that you guys feel comfortable and open to have these rich discussions. So that's the discussion assignment. Remember, initial post due by tonight, Thursday, peer responses by Sunday, minimum of 2. But you can always work on those earlier. And then the journal assignment for this week is going to be centered around feedback. So for your journal assignment, remember it's just a 1-page Microsoft Word document, okay? You want to make sure that you answer these 4 questions, which number 1 is to describe your perceptions regarding receiving feedback. So things to think about, like how does receiving feedback make you feel? How can you improve your reaction to feedback? I think some of us like feedback when it's positive and sunshiny, right? But when it's constructive or maybe negative feedback, we don't love it so much. Anybody else on that same wavelength? um, Question 2 is to describe how you can use past feedback to inform how you give and receive feedback now. So like, what have you learned from past experiences in which you've received feedback, and how can you apply what you've learned in future feedback situations? And then question 3 is to describe the impact that diversity awareness has on giving and receiving feedback when communicating and collaborating with others. And question 4 are describe how you can use strategies for interacting with diverse groups of people as you give and receive feedback. So these are some really powerful questions too for you to consider. And what I love about this feedback concept that we are talking about in week 6 is feedback is powerful. It is powerful for you as a student as you work through course to course and you get assignments graded by your faculty. And as you work with peers and as you work with students that are in the same major, and also people from all over the world, like think about tonight, we have people from all over the US here with us tonight, which is really pretty cool. The other thing is you can utilize so much of these concepts outside the classroom. So in your personal lives and your professional lives. And I think that's one of the best things about college classes is when you can apply what you're learning to your everyday life, it can really make such an impact. And Deanna, I love that saying, there are no failures, only feedback. That is absolutely awesome. So just a reminder, this assignment is due by Sunday. It's a 1-page Microsoft Word document. Make sure if you do use any kind of sources that you cite them properly. If you have questions or get stuck, you always have the academic support team to work with and the Shapiro Library. Okay. All right. So let's switch gears a little bit to that guidebook, that final project. Just as a reminder, we are talking about this a whole week early. That is not due. It doesn't even come up until Module 7, which is next week. But I wanted to remind you that this project is worth a significant chunk of your grade at 250 points, okay? With this guidebook or this final project, really what you all are doing is connecting the dots, okay? You are not creating a new document. If you want to create a new document, that's up to you. But you are using the template that you have been working on all term submitting those project drafts, okay? So when you have completed all of that, that document, that template that you've been working on all term from week to week to week is about 3 to 5 pages when complete because of all the information that you have put in answering those questions based off your chosen scenario, right? And the conflict. So just a reminder, you're not creating anything new, but what you are doing is you are cleaning up that template, okay? I want you to look back at what you've learned this term, use your experiences, use the scenario you picked in module 2 and that conflict that you chose. Look back at your answers, look back at the graded feedback that your instructor left you on each of those project drafts that you submitted. Is there any more details you needed to add? Is there any information missing? Is there anything that they might have wanted you to update or edit or change? And if they did, you want to make sure that those edits and that cleanup is done before you submit the final thing for module 7. Does that make sense, everybody? So you're not creating anything new. You're using what you've already been submitting. You're just cleaning it all up. If you wanted to kind of copy and paste everything and put it into a new document, this is your guidebook. You're going to have this with you. That is completely up to you, that you can use your creativity. You just want to make sure that all of the questions for that template are there when you submit it, okay? Jennifer, I'm just talking about what's due for next week. So we covered week 6. Week 6 was the discussion assignment and the journal assignment that's due this week. But what we're talking about now is next week. Next week, module 7 will kick off and you guys have that final project, your guidebook due. And so I just wanted to make sure that you guys know, like going into this and thinking about it early, like you're not creating something new. We're talking about it early because we want to encourage you to use the academic support team for your success on this assignment. No worries, no worries. I'm glad you clarified. So I wanted to point that out. We're nothing new. Let's use the same document. Let's clean it up. Remember to use your resources, which brings me to our very special guest. You guys have gotten to hear my voice and little tidbits about me all term long. Well, now you get to meet one of our most amazing academic support coaches, Miss Allison Johnson. She works with our academic support team, and I love these fun facts about Allison. She used to teach high school English in a rural town that didn't even have a traffic light. Is anybody here from those small towns? Like those little towns. I had one that was like a blinking light. I'm not really sure what it did. She has been an academic advisor for online students. So she's used to working with students just like you in the online environment through all stages of their academic journey. She loves to work with students who have been out of school for a while. Anybody here been out of school for a long time? And now you're back. So remember that she has that experience too. She's a huge fan of stand-up comedy and has a collection of old comedy records, which I absolutely love that about her. And she is just one of the many people that is here to help you be successful. So how this is going to work is I have a series of questions for Allison. I'm going to ask them and then she is going to answer them. So we're going to kick off with how do students access academic support, Miss Allison?
Okay. Hi, and I'll even come on camera for my interview. My hair is much longer than in that picture. So we are in every single one of your classes, and has anybody accessed us yet? Do I have any? Yes, I've been to academic support already.
I do. You got typers.
Oh, awesome.
Yep, you do. They have.
Yay, awesome. So for those of you who haven't been, it's pretty easy to find us. We're right above that banner to your class where it has that menu. We're right next to Shapiro Library. You click on academic support and it just takes you right into academic support where you have all the things that we're going to be talking to you about. Sometimes a little pop-up might come up in your class as well. And there's also, I think, a way to get to us on MySNU, but this is the easiest, fastest way to get to us.
All right, Allison, is academic support only for certain classes? Like, is it only for IDS 105 or can they use it in any classes? And then like, what are all of the options? There's this big menu when they open it up. Can you kind of explain it to them so they know what to expect from each service?
Yes, there's a lot. And there's a lot, and Melanie has talked about this a lot, I'm sure. There are a lot of things here to help you, and so it's also about knowing the right time to use them and what they are before you try them out, because it can be a little overwhelming. So academic support is not only for certain classes. Academic support is here for all of the classes. We also work with graduate students, students working on their associate's degrees. Like every online student has access to academic support. This menu, we're just going to go through really quickly the different support options. I'm glad, Deanna, that you worked on the written or tried the written feedback. 24/7 drop-in tutoring, that you just click on that and it connects you via chat to a tutor. They can use a whiteboard. Sometimes there is a voice chat as well. That's an option, but in general, it's going to be a kind of typing chat. They can be incredibly helpful if you have a really specific question, you're feeling stuck on an assignment, especially with math, or maybe creating an outline or doing some brainstorming, that type of thing that you can accomplish in a chat. They're right there and they're 24/7. So if you're working really late or really early, you're going to be connected with somebody during the time that you need. The written feedback option is fantastic if you just want a second set of eyes on it before your instructor takes a look at it. So this might be a really good option for this assignment, because we talked about module 7 this week. You can get it done early, submit it to written feedback, and the written feedback comes back within 12 hours usually. I always say give it 24 hours because you never know how busy they are, and it gives you time to read the feedback. So at least 24 hours so that you get it, you can read it, and you can make the changes that they recommend and ask any questions that you might have. It goes to a real person, and when you go to written feedback, you fill out a form and you let them know where you're at with the assignment. It has a bunch of different drop downs. You can tell them about the assignment feedback you've gotten from your instructor. It can really help with exactly what Deanna said, like knowing when to clean up the work, where some editing errors might be, that type of thing, and if you're on track. The workshops are a fantastic place. So if you're enjoying these webinars and you like that sense of community and meeting with people and getting some knowledge to help you be a better student, we have a ton of different workshops related to basically everything you'd ever want to know regarding math, graphic design, writing, stress and anxiety, time management. We also have peer groups that meet, so they're more interactive and a space to meet with peers and talk with peers. We also have office hours for the peer tutors where you can come with questions on citations, for example, and just get a little extra support. And those are held in our platform where it's kind of like this and Zoom combined, that's got some whiteboards and a video camera and audio. And then we've got peer tutoring, which I always like to say, hey, if you're a person that eventually at some point would like to work for SNHU, we're always looking for peer tutors. Peer tutors are people who have been very successful in their coursework, learned a lot as a student, and have a desire to give back to this new community and help people to get to where they are at. So our peer tutors are fantastic. They're usually upperclassmen or graduate students who really know what they're doing, have done really well, and know their content. So if you're running into any challenges in any classes and you're just not getting a concept in a class, or want some tips and strategies about that, and maybe want to meet just one time to answer some questions, the peer tutors can be really helpful. And it's a full 45-minute session, so you get a lot of time, and there's a video, audio option, so you're really talking to a person, and then you get to use the whiteboard and all sorts of other bells and whistles. Academic coaching is the area that I'm in. I'm one of the academic coaches, and you fill out a form, and if you have very particular goals for yourself as a student, you're struggling with some background on writing or research or time management. Maybe you've been diagnosed with a learning difference and you're having some challenges, or you keep hearing kind of the same things from your instructor or notice the same patterns, and you want to work on some goals to fix on that and meet over a couple of sessions. That's what academic coaching is all about. So you fill out a form and we start working on those goals. And then that frequently asked questions section is just that, but it also takes you to our resources. We have a ton of videos and infographics and, kind of like worksheets that walk through some of the concepts that you'll see in your course. So if you're a person that likes to look at something in reading and writing to figure it out, that's another great place to go. I'm out of breath. That's a lot of stuff.
It is. There's a lot of stuff. So with this menu from Academic Support, was there anything that you all didn't know that they had? I know that sometimes we talk about the different resources, but students are like, I didn't know that there was that option. And I know that it can also sometimes feel like a lot, like there's so many resources that you can reach out to, and it can be kind of overwhelming, but just start small. Start with something that you think might help you. Maybe it's cleaning up your writing or getting more comfortable with your writing mechanics. So written feedback is perfect for you. Maybe you're somebody that wants to explore, like you struggle with citing your sources or really understanding that, and you want to do like a workshop. Start small. Connect with one thing at a time. You don't have to do it all at once, but it's nice to know that there's just these options that are out there for your success. So Allison, as they put together, they clean up this final project, this guidebook, and they get it submitted for their success next week, or even with like their journal assignments or any writing assignments, is there any common mistakes that the students should really be paying attention to or be aware of, or tips or tricks for their success?
So the biggest thing, and I know that you would agree on this, is sometimes what we'll notice is missing information, or maybe the template or the instructions aren't all there. And so one thing that's really important, especially if you're going over feedback, is to actually look at the feedback and apply it. Make sure you're looking at the rubrics and guidelines and making sure every piece of the assignment is there. So that's a really big thing, is sometimes it's easy to miss a section or not give enough detail. Remember, your instructors are not mind readers as much as we'd all love to be. It's just not a possibility at the moment. But you can give us more detail. So you can provide a for example that helps explain your thought process on something. And so the more detail you can provide, the better. So when you look through any assignment, make sure you're really spelling it out for them. A thing that can help with that is if you're having a hard time writing things out, you can always use voice to text. You can jot your thoughts down. If you're more of a handwritten person, you can jot your thoughts down there. But get the thoughts out and really explain them, and pretend like you're talking to somebody that doesn't know. I think a lot of times when we're talking to instructors, we think they know everything. They're teaching the class. But what they're seeing is your thought process and how you're reflecting on the learning. And so it's really important to explain with as much detail as possible. And then, of course, the editing and little things, little like punctuation things that maybe cause it to be a little confusing. So the written feedback can be really helpful in catching those things. And also just a quick read through or sharing it with somebody at home and having them read it back to you can be really powerful, because then you're hearing it from somebody else. I have students who have given it to their children to read back to them, and that's a good bonding experience because they can be helping with the, this sounds, man, some high schoolers can be really pretty intense with red penning some things. So spouses, friends, like have them help out and do, and let them know what you're working on too, because sometimes you're in your own head, you're reading it over and over again. The technology can also read it back to you because it has a read aloud function. So you can have it read aloud back to you so you hear how it sounds. Those are some tips and tricks that I have. Yeah, the cats might not be helpful, but at least Microsoft Office will read it back to you.
I love the tips and tricks, and I always laugh because students will say, sometimes my children are so helpful, but my dog isn't, or my cat isn't, because like they'll walk across the keyboard, especially the cats. They'll walk across the keyboard when they're like just finishing something up. Like I had a student that happened to last week. She's like, I literally was almost done with my assignment, and my cat walked across my keyboard, and I have to start over. So life happens, right, y'all? But there's just some really great tips and things for you to think about, not just now in your IDS 105 class, but these are future things that you can utilize moving forward from course to course, because you're going to have a lot of writing assignments, and you're going to have a lot of things that you need to work on. And sometimes when you've worked on something so long or so many times, it becomes like you don't even see the mistakes that are in it anymore. So just some really great tips. I loved them all, Allison. So as you guys know, we're in week 6. And so we do this webinar live a whole week early because next week is module 7. So this week you're working on that discussion and your journal assignment for week 6 in IDS 105. And next week is when you have to have your guidebook all cleaned up and ready to go for final submission. We do this early in hopes that you all will think about starting that cleanup process and getting your final project, that guidebook, ready sooner rather than later. So that way you can submit it to the academic support written feedback team, have them give you some feedback, and then you can make any changes as necessary and clean things up for your success and feel real confident about your submission. But sometimes we know that life happens. Where are my procrastinators? Where are my folks that put things off? You're going to wait till the last minute. You know this about yourself. It's like a skill. My oldest is a procrastinator, and he puts things off to the last minute all the time, and stresses himself out and hasn't learned from that yet, right? So I tell him it is like an art form. So if they put the project off and start cleaning it up like right before it's due, what are some options for them and their success?
So the first thing I would always say is if you feel like procrastination is getting in the way of you feeling, like if this is a repeated theme, kind of like your son, that's probably a good thing to talk to an academic coach about or attend a workshop we have. I'm kind of endorsing one that I do myself on avoiding procrastination. It's something humans all do, it'll happen from time to time. We do that. But if it's happening perpetually and it's really making your life not great, there are things that can be done. But if it happens, it happens. And the most important thing is to just get the assignment turned in. I think sometimes when working against a deadline and the stress gets to you, it might be, oh no, I'm never going to get this done, or I'll turn it in late. If you turn it in on time, you don't lose points, but it might not be the best work, but you could probably still get really quality work if you really focus on what you need to do, look at the feedback that your instructor has given you, and double check yourself by reading the rubric. Grade yourself before you submit it. Always, always do this. Even if you procrastinate, even if it's last minute, even if it's late, it's better some points than 0 points, always. We always want you to make sure that you show off that you do the work that you've been learning this whole entire time. So getting it done is super important. Get it done in whatever form happens, but still always check that rubric. Make sure you're submitting what you need to be submitting. And a lot of those things like reading aloud or having the audio read it back to you to catch things are still things that you can do. So take the time to do it before you submit it. Make sure everything is in order. And then also use that as a learning experience to say, I don't want to do that again next time.
Great advice, Allison. So just a couple of reminders for your success. Know how you're graded. Y'all use that rubric. Use the template that you guys have been using all term long. Remember, you're not creating a new document for that final project submission. You're cleaning up what you've been working on all term long. So go back, look at your graded feedback from your faculty member from week to week when you submitted those project drafts. See what they have to say about it, make any changes as necessary. Remember, you have your resources here at the university. You have your advisor, your instructor, you have the SNHU Academic Support team. You just learned about a ton of things that just that one department offers you. Plus, you have the learning community. You can come back to this webinar. You can ask questions in this new Connect learning community. But, just remember as you go through and finalize your project and that final guidebook, be yourself and share your thoughts, because ultimately this is for you. This is something you're going to take with you, and it's going to be between you and your faculty member and the academic support team. If you share it with them. Allison, thank you so much for being here with us tonight and with everything that you have going on, spending a little bit of Thursday time with us. That is everything we have for the main session. I am going to just share my screen really quick because what I wanted to do, and I'm going to turn my camera on really fast. What I wanted to do really quick before we hop off is just make sure that y'all understand like where to find everything for module 7. So you guys know where the template is. You've utilized it all term long. You're just cleaning it up. But just in case, if you need a reminder of where to find those scenarios and the conflicts and where all the documents are, remember in your class, under course menu, all the way down. Look how close we are to the end, y'all. Go to module 7. For module 7, just a reminder, there is a discussion assignment in there, but it's not graded. It's an optional discussion. And I wanted to point this out to you guys while we were on the webinar. This is the place that you don't post your project or your guidebook there at all, but it's a place where if you want to share like tips on how you put things together, how you edited, maybe things that you learned through putting these project drafts together, this is the place where you share them. Again, it's not graded. It's just kind of a space and an opportunity for you to share your thoughts. The project is right here, this 7-2 project, okay? And you want to click on those guidelines and rubric. And when you pull that up, as you guys know, it's going to pull up everything, right? It's going to pull up all the way at the bottom how you're graded. So I'm going to scroll real fast. This is how you're graded, right? So remember that that is there, but I wanted to just double check, you have the overview, you have your scenarios that you chose, you know the directions, but you have that template. Again, you're not creating anything new. You're just cleaning up what you've been submitting all term long. Those scenario profiles are right here underneath supporting materials, just in case you needed something or you have questions on something, or maybe you've lost something. Just remember that you have those pieces up to go back to, and everything is right here at your fingertips from your classroom, okay? We are so excited to read these projects and see kind of the final culmination of everything that you guys have been working on all term long. You guys are going to finish week 6. You're going to be done with week 7 before you know it. And then your final week is just week 8, and all you have is a discussion assignment. Don't forget to check out the webinars for next week and for week 8. Week 8 is a celebration of all the hard work and everything you put into this class. We're just really excited to have you here at SNHU. We sure hope that you've enjoyed this course. If you have questions on anything, don't hesitate to reach out to me in the learning community, your faculty, the academic support team. Everybody is just absolutely incredible. And we are just really excited that you chose us to be a part of your academic journey. So finish this week strong, end the term successfully, get ready for your upcoming classes. And just remember, you got this, everybody. Your guidebooks are going to be amazing. Thank you for spending this time with us tonight. And I'll see you next time in the LC. Good night, everybody. Have a wonderful night, everybody. I will work on getting this recording. Allison, if you want to stop the